Hi, my name's Elijah Hobbs, and this is my video report for the AE1601 glider project. This is my glider, the Joshmobile 10,000. My glider had to meet a few requirements set by this project. It must be able to fly over 20 feet, fit in a 16 by 16 inch area, be hand-thrown, not have any active propulsion, and actually be a glider. Unfortunately, javelins weren't allowed. But before I started my initial design, I needed to make a few key decisions that would form the base of my glider design. First, I needed to decide which material to make my glider out of. Balsa wood is a great option because it is lightweight and relatively strong, but a limited supply of it. 3D printed material can be constructed to create any shape that I want, and the makerspace allows you to print for free, but the filament is very heavy. If my design is too big, it could take a very long time to print. Cardboard is great because it is lightweight and I have a ton of cardboard, but it is very flimsy and might bend if my glider hits the ground the wrong way. I ended up choosing balsa wood due to its favorable properties, though I did plan to use cardboard for prototyping material. The second big decision was the shape of my glider's wing. A rectangular wing is very easy to make, but its aerodynamic efficiency isn't great. A tapered wing is a middle ground, where the aerodynamics aren't stellar, but it is still an improvement over the rectangular wing. Additionally, it is still relatively easy to make. Elliptical wing is the most aerodynamic wing shape. The design is very hard to manufacture. I chose the tapered wing because I like the balance between aerodynamics and manufacturability. The final design decision I had to make was where to place the wing. Placing the wing towards the front makes the glider very stable, but it requires much more weight in the front to properly balance it. Placing the wing is a middle ground since it is pretty stable, but still requires a good amount of weight to properly balance. Having the wing towards the back makes the glider very easy to balance, but is at the cost of some stability. I ended up choosing the middle ground again by going with the middle wing, due to its balance advantages and disadvantages. I decided to make the glider's wing be 16 by 3 inches. The width would match the width of my sheet of balsa wood, making the wing very easy to cut out. Additionally, the aspect ratio was around 5.3, which is the typical range for gliders that I found during my research. During my research, I also found a PowerPoint with some general guidelines for sizing the rest of your glider with respect to your wing. So I used that, along with the size of my leftover balsa wood after cutting out the wing, to decide on a 6 by 2 inch horizontal stabilizer, a 2 by 2 inch vertical stabilizer, and a 12-inch fuselage. After finishing my initial design in SolidWorks, I headed out to the makerspace to make a cardboard prototype. Once properly balanced, the prototype was able to fly a little bit over 20 feet consistently. It was also very stable during its flights, often flying in a straight line. While I was very happy with this prototype's performance, there were still some flaws to improve. It took significantly more weight than I expected to properly balance the glider's center of gravity. I even moved the glider's wing back while trying to build it to reduce the weight that I had to put on the tip. The cardboard that I used is also much heavier than the balsa wood, so switching materials would help it glide longer. Additionally, I used tape to hold a lot of the glider together, which was great for when I was shifting my wing around to try and balance it correctly, but it became an issue when the wing would shift in between flights. To fix this, I plan to use glue for my final glider to make it much more sturdy. This is my final design iteration for my glider. It is fully made out of balsa wood, has tape on the tip for weight, has a tapered wing towards the back of the glider, and has hot glue to hold everything together. As you can see, it just barely fits within a 16 by 16 inch area. The final center of gravity ended up being around the center chord, which is around 3/4 of an inch from the quarter chord where I initially wanted to place it, but during my testing, the glider ended up performing the best with CG towards the center chord. The biggest change from my design iterations is the switch from cardboard to balsa wood, as well as moving my wing back a few inches. My original prototype caused me to be much more careful when assembling my final design, which also led to it being more sturdy and symmetrical. I used the following formulas and variables to calculate my coefficient of lift and coefficient of drag, which came out to be 1.29 times 10 to the negative 6th and 1.06 times 10 to the negative 13th respectively. This is my final flight video. In it, the glider flies around 36 feet, which I was very happy with.
Look at what that weight distribution.
If we look at the frame at which the glider leaves my hand, you will see that the glider has an angle of attack of around 28.6 degrees. This was a lot more than I initially expected, but it does seem very reasonable in context. Overall, I am very happy with how my glider turned out. It looks good and was able to fly over 30 feet. However, if I were to do this project again, I would probably experiment with elliptical wings since I am more confident with working with balsa wood after creating my initial glider. Thanks for watching my glider report. See you later.